Hey all my movie maniacs, glad you could join me today as we talk about the film that everybody was anticipating, well, 99% of the movie watching population. It's the film from director Christopher Nolan, and of course we are talking about Interstellar, this sci-fi epic picture taking place in the near future where the Earth has been rebelling against people in the form of these massive dust storms, and pretty much they're running out of food. Earth can no longer support us. So a humble farmer who once was an engineer is asked once more to leave his family and his planet behind in search for a new planet for humanity to rest on. And we watch the events unfold from there as we see him take on the challenges that space has, as well as running into a very large black hole and dealing with that really nasty thing of relativity. You know, Interstellar is probably one of the most scary films I've watched. Now, I don't mean scary as in jump out, but the subjects that they cover in here, especially in the very beginning of the film, are things that you could see happening. And that, I think, to me, is more scary than any slasher or any ghost jumping out at you. Because it's creepy, and that's really something that could happen. So, when we open with the film and covering that type of subject of the Earth no longer supporting humanity and that we're pretty much on the road to our own destruction, that's pretty scary because you do see hints around here regardless, and I'm not even talking about climate change debate, I'm just talking about that in general. So there, it just makes things a bit scary. And it also sets up the environment and why the motivation is so much there for this guy to leave his family and take off into space. Now, also the future that they painted is pretty doggone bleak as well. I don't want to ruin it too much. I will just say that a simple scene in a school over a conference with a child gives you so much insight into how the future is. Christopher Nolan did a great job there with this scene. It helped set up everything with what the world is like today. I mean, not only just visually with the dust storms, which you've seen in the trailer, but just this dialogue that they have sets it up perfectly. And then as the film rolls along and we get into space, talk about some epic space scenes. Folks, I love the fact, too, no sound in space. Thank you, Mr. Christopher Nolan. Thank you so much for giving us another sci-fi film that acknowledges the fact that there is no sound in space, or not, you don't hear all the mechanics and everything of all these spaceships and devices that are going on in space. Now, what did appear, which surprised me, were two robots, Tars and Case, and those two characters I loved. They were just block robots, these square robots, but they were very versatile. You've seen them in the trailer, and you know what? I loved those characters. Now, one of them was voiced by Josh Stewart, and the other one was Bill Irwin. Loved the voice acting with these characters. Matthew McConaughey, if you hadn't picked out, was the star of this film, playing Cooper, the guy being asked to go up into space. I think he's working his way to another, at least, Oscar nomination with his performance that he puts on in here. Just a really strong performance, and he had some great chemistry between him and the girl playing his young daughter, Mackenzie Foy. Really great chemistry between these two. She does a fantastic job. Mackenzie does. I really liked her performance. Everybody. It's Christopher Nolan. He's one of those directors that seems to really bring out the best in his actors, and he does in Interstellar. Anne Hathaway does a great performance in here as well, as expected. I mean, she's Anne Hathaway, and I like the dialogue between her and Cooper, and what's really great is they don't play it like you would normally expect them to play it with these two characters. Thank you for that as well. Most modern films would do that. What most modern films also would probably have a lot more effects shots. Now, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of special effects in here, but there are a lot of quiet moments. Really quiet moments, and I loved that. No, sci-fi films aren't doing it anymore. Folks, this is like a classic film, okay? I'm not sure if I would go so far as say it is the modern 2001, but it's probably one of the closest films that we will get to that as far as some of the things that it addresses and how deep it goes. All the dialogue in here is really deep, discussions about the way things are, and, time and aging. And then you've got, and just the world in general and philosophies. I loved all the dialogue that they had in here and the statements they had about humanity in here. But this isn't an action-packed film. There are some action moments, don't get me wrong, but few and far between, especially with a film that is nearly 3 hours long. But it never felt 3 hours long to me. It moved right along because I was so engrossed in these characters and the story and everything about it. Now, it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Again, why? Because it's made like a classic film. It's made like the old school sci-fi. This isn't sci-fi where we got to see just how much special effects and spaceships and explosions we can fit into a scene. No, this is a pace, take your time, look into humanity and our own way of life and see what things we might have to change type of sci-fi, folks. And I loved it, and I don't remember the last time I've seen a film like this that made me thought so deeply about things, okay? Again, it may not exactly be for everyone's cup of tea. If you're expecting a superhero action-packed Christopher Nolan film, you're going to be sadly disappointed. If you're expecting a classic sci-fi film that is well-paced, takes its time, brings a lot of statements about humanity and the state of the world today by exploring the future, then you will not be disappointed with Interstellar. I think everybody in here does a fantastic job. I think Anne Hathaway, at least Matthew McConaughey, are going to be up for Oscars, and this thing's going to get nominated for a slew of awards when it goes out, regardless of the mixed review bag that you're getting from the critics. I gave it 5 stubs. Yes, 5 stubs. Yes, that's right. I loved this movie, loved every minute of it. It was just an interesting sci-fi that relied more on your brain than on the visual stimulation, though there is plenty of that as well. Don't forget, we are doing a podcast live tonight on the Spoiler Room. We're going to be recording my podcast, The Spoiler Room. We're going to be talking in depth about Christopher Nolan's Interstellar. If you've seen it, you may want to tune in to check it out. If you haven't, go see Interstellar, then tune in. It'll be also on iTunes on our Spoiler Room channel there. I hope you can check it out. It should be a fun discussion, and there will be definitely spoilers with a fresh conversation. So check it out, and until next time, folks, remember, keep that ticket stub.